What's up, everybody? I'm Jason. This is the Freebird Garage, and we are out on this early morning. I'm actually heading into work today. It's beautiful out. Nice, quiet roads after the holidays. Talking into the FXR, my particular OG FXR. There's been a handful on the channel, but if you haven't seen this one before, it's been a while. We're talking about why I have stopped modding this bike. It's got a little different mods, some a little more wild than the others, but what's up with the bike? Let's talk about it, dive into it. Let's get it done. Whew. That backfire sounded like a shotgun going off. Quiet neighborhood. Whoa! Gravel. So yeah, I'm on my way to work. I used to ride all the time to work. I actually did a video on it. Why you should ride all the time to work. And well, that hasn't come true. Shortly after that, my kids needed to go to daycare. So that went out the window. Had to do a lot of driving to them to daycare. So no more riding this. I wish I could have put them on there. But that would probably be illegal to put them in the front or the rear of the bike. Alright, so like I mentioned, modding this bike, kind of why I'm done doing so to it. And got to come to a conclusion with some big portions of it. I'm okay with that. One, it's just straight up knock on wood. I hate even saying this or being it. It's the dependability on this one, and that's crazy on FXR. I mean, I should say crazy. I've said that out there, and people lambasting me for that. But you know, in general, the motor on this is going pretty strong. It's a pretty solid motor. It starts up when it needs to. I've had a couple carb cleans on it. It needs one right now. It's got a little bit of that Spitfire going on. It needs a good carb clean on there. But being that it's so reliable, I really don't want to dive into the motor. And that's funny because I made a video talking about that. And I was going to crack into that, and it was so close. And what ended up happening was I was going to dive into this motor, and then another FXR came into my hands at that point. So I kind of said, well, that's out the window. And I think it was a smart choice because after really diving into the other ones, all that, my bike would either still be down or have multiple problems over a bike that didn't need it. And I always said, though, from the beginning with this bike that, you know, I'm going to shoot videos and replace things as they break or as they go down and need them. And that's one of them right now. It's just this, you know, luckily hasn't had any issues. I need to do an oil change on it. The fork seals are starting to actually loosen up. So that stuff will come up on the channel itself, is the repairs. The other part too, I was going to do a video on, and I did it before the whole YouTube thing with my handlebar setup. I did them like way before YouTube, and I really like them, except for I shorted myself on the heat shrink right here, which still to this day bugs me that I never got that there. But these bars and handles, these are actually my setup, like my practice, my quick setup that I was gonna then find the real expensive risers to replace with. And then I realized you don't need to do that. You don't need to spend $600 on replacement risers to be able to get something good. These are, I should do a full walk around, but these are drag specialty risers, and they were so inexpensive. Like compared to everyone else, like they got that locked down for inexpensive. Like we're talking like the cap and riser combo, you can buy them separately. You have to buy them separately. $80, $80. It's probably going on. That was like 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. 6 years ago, yeah. You know, maybe $100 now, maybe $120 for the combo. That's so cheap. Most like name brand like risers generally start at like $300. Like I haven't seen anything lower than that. I'm not complaining that they shouldn't make their money, but man, I know small runs on parts is really expensive, like to run on, and when they're doing that, it's just astronomical. Like, so literally, they're, as we all know, the brands out there, I'm not gonna say them, but they're $600 for some like riders. Now, there are brands that I think are very reputable that do make them, and I want to get sets like that. Like, I think TC Bros is a really awesome brand. I don't actually have their stuff, so I shouldn't say that fully, but in general, their pricing and the stuff that they make, I've always heard from other people that are really good, and I really like the style they like, so I've always wanted to build an entire like hard tail chopper from them, just because they have the entire kits. They have the frames down to everything, and it's like affordable. Everything down to, you know, minus the motor, everything is affordable on it. So I did that, got some nice shocks in the rear, seat set up, and the only thing I really want to change on this, you know, the whole setup that I do have on here, that if I were to like do another, it would be actually my handlebars. I'm not a big fan of them. Maybe I'll go another video of the review of these handlebars, or the handlebars I have. The idea was something of a motocross, of course, setup, just like everyone else does. That's why I rode before Harleys and all that street bikes was dirt bikes. And I thought I was gonna get that, and they're just kind of goofy. They're a little wide. The look at them's okay. I mean, they're definitely strong. Company that makes them, the steel on them is really, really thick. I mean, we're talking, I want to say, it's not 1.25 inches, but they have like chromoly. I think that's what they use, which is damn near impossible to bend on your own. You got to use a machine. So let's not get smoked by the semi here. So they're really strong, and believe me, there's guys I know, that's why during the time when a lot of dudes were wheeling FXRs, there was a particular guy that really thought it was sweet at riding, you know, had these bars, and there's go to show the influence of that, you know, you should go in a little more, and you find out those companies are obviously paying those dudes. You don't realize that until you start to dive into it. So that was kind of my unfortunate doing of buying that stuff. Reliability, the exhaust even on here that I have on here, you can't even buy it anymore. That's what's crazy. I went through a whole debacle. Almost everything on this bike for part wise, I got it all set up now, but it was a debacle. You don't realize how crappy some of these companies advertise that things fit for your bike, and then you get them and they absolutely do not. I want to do a whole video on that, but it would be the truth behind the parts. If you guys are interested in that, maybe I'll actually do a video of that. It's like literally, I can tell you the complaints about, there's some good parts on here that you would all be pretty shocked, only because if it comes to newer bikes, they have no issues. But if you're representing a brand and a model for a bike, and you're going to charge an absolute premium and make someone wait extreme amounts of time and just for that part to come in and it not to work, is the most aggravating thing. That I'm like, yo, I get that. I get people make mess ups, but just straight up like, we're not even talking customer service, man. Yeah, that might be a good one for you guys to hear later. That I just got to decide if I'm going to name drop that stuff or not. I mean, who really cares? Video could get like 50 views and no one's ever going to hear about it anyways. But in general, that's kind of some of the parts. We'll do a walkthrough. But yeah, reliability on this bike and the way I have it set up, I'm pretty happy. Just, I don't really want to dive into it unless it's broken, because it's my daily. You know, I daily ride this thing whenever I can. I just want it to be a bike that my dad, my brother, whoever it is, wants to go and ride or meet up or do something for dinner, or my buddies or whatever it is, and like, I just want to hop on it and go. Like, I get it, it's carbs, so you're always going to have your issues. Cleaning carbs, I know that's just common with carb. But other than that, like, just being able just to know it's reliable, that it's going to charge the battery when you're riding and you're not going to be stuck somewhere, is a huge plus. All right, very huge to have that reliability. Getting into like, I guess part wise and everything too, that led away from it, and I kind of mentioned that already, which was getting into the other FXR builds. I should say builds. My builds, you know, they're just being chipped together one by one. I got a family, I got kids. Not to say that I'm going, oh, woe is me. I'm just saying time. That's literally what it is, woe is me. And just trying to hash out my time to get those done. So some videos seem repetitive, but it's literally the realistic version of myself dealing with my family and kids and trying to take away time from them to be able to work on stuff like that. So if you're wondering why some videos get longer than others on the builds, that's literally the reason why. and I want to film it. Like, I could probably get it done way faster if I just stopped filming, didn't put out anything, and just got it done, and then jumped and then got it done, I guess you should say. So I always mention that. I try to film as everything is happening, the best of my abilities to make it more realistic. There's small stuff I do on the outside because, hey, you know, I can't stand for 3, 4, 5, 6 videos and get no progress done. I've kind of done that a little bit, and yeah, it gets handed back to me at that point, but hey, that's okay. It's the business and the YouTube, right? So doing that, having the other FXRs, that kind of also relates back to money-wise, right? So that will always be just generally, when you're dumping money into FXRs, probably on every bike, but trying to bring back the bikes, and we're talking everything from, I'm doing the paint, the suspension, the motor, I mean, everything costs some deep pockets, man. And I knew that getting into it, but that just kind of held off on this. Like, it rides fine, it rips, it runs, and there's just no need to shove money into here until those bikes are done. What I am excited for is that they're kind of like the, what do I call it, like the cash bank, waiting around for like to be sold. Because eventually those bikes, I should say I got a Sportster, my FXR, when I say those and this bike. So my FXR in particular, FXR-T, those will eventually get sold. I want to sell them. I want to do a great job on them so that whoever does buy them, you know, they're proud of them. So if you guys ever watch my videos, like, man, I wonder if he's ever going to sell any bikes. Well, I will end up selling the FXR-T, maybe ride it for a year. That's only because I want to guarantee that it runs and rides well. And we're talking about Michigan riding. It's not like California riding where you guys can ride all year round. When I say that, it's, man, we're talking maybe 5,000 and not a good, maybe 10,000 I think it is in Michigan. And I'm sure there's guys here in Michigan that rip it all year round, and hey, claps to you and everything. But as my kids get older, I will too. But I want to take that bankroll into those other FXR-Ts, or the FXR-T there, and buy more FXRs. Buy maybe a Dyna. I'm not really sold on any cruisers just yet. Like, trying to do a performance bagger build, I might as well just take my whole savings and dump it on the table and get that done. Like, it's just unrealistic for me, unless if it was like something like an Evo 90s, like to do something with that. Even then, it's obviously expensive, but trying to do that would be kind of fun to see something like that on the road. I think Unknown Industries has one. It's one of like the early, I could be wrong on this, I don't think it's Evo, like, it's twin cam. One of those guys on, it's like a blue one, blue and silver. He's had it before, whatever, on his stuff, and pretty sweet, but it's on off because I think it's always broken. When you're wheeling the thing and smashing it against the ground, it's going to happen, but every proud part that you replace on a wheelie like that, I think that's pretty dope. So I think one of the newer bikes though that I would love to have on a channel to bring in as like a newer bike one of these days, but it'd have to wait, say one of these days, it'd have to be a couple years till the price goes down, is a Pan America. Yeah, I'm looking up like the ones that have like stripped it down, it either made it like a true road racing bike. So cool. Just that monoshock, it just brings back that dirt bike, Supercross moto. So cool. That stuff that they're producing on those bikes like that, the platform, it's so sick. I mean, it's the closest thing we're gonna get for a dirt bike for Harley since like the 70s. I think 70s they had the AMF dirt bike. I could probably be wrong on that. Trends come and go. Like right now, you know, everyone tries to squeak out the newest thing and put it on their bike and switch it up, and that's just not me. I mean, the one right now is doing that Baja headlight swap out on the front. One came from, I think that came from the performance bagger era scene or whatever it is. Swap out on the Road Glide, the two Baja lights. I've seen guys doing FXRs and it looks cool, but I think it's just gonna die out. I just have seen a lot of stuff already come and go. Another one is like the inverted front end era. When I first got into FXRs, it was so big. Everybody wanted an inverted front end on their FXR. Like, was it Gigacycles? I know it was the most affordable one, I believe. Guys trying to do kits. And I just kept looking at it and going, what? Is this really like that? You're really gonna put $6 grand into it? Like, there was a part of me that always wanted to do it just to feel it, but I'm like, man, if you don't like it or it goes sideways, like, it just doesn't work out. That's so much money gone. And I remember right before kind of making the decision, I actually saw Thrash and Supply. If you ever followed them back in their starting days, their red FXR had an inverted front end. And then he started posting, or they started posting without it. And a lot of people were, I think, taken back by that. And then they're also like, whoa, I thought we were running inverted front ends. And I actually messaged them. I said, back then, they probably don't answer now to a lot of stuff. Maybe they do. But I remember asking them and saying, hey, why did you get rid of the inverted front end? Because they were one of the, like, not to say definitely not the first, but like popularity-wise, I'd say that's how I found it. And he said, well, I had the money to pull the trigger on it, tried it, and just wasn't a big fan. And looked at that, but then I responded back to him and said, what do you mean by, well, you weren't a big fan? I mean, everyone thinks that you can take an FXR and put everything modern on it, it's the best bike. And it was like, well, the inverted front end, it just, you know, it was too heavy. It's like, I like to do wheelies, I like to ride it hard, and it was too heavy. It was nice, like just cruising, but if you're trying to like really rip it on it, and like, that's just a little bit of what I was kind of told. He just was like preferred the OG front end. You know, if that's true or not, I took it with a kind of a grain of salt, like, because there's guys that have inverted front FXRs, and I'm sure that absolutely love them. So I might have wanted to tell you that you shouldn't go buy it, do what you want, but for me, at least made me feel knowing, well, I don't need to dump $6 grand, and I do really like the original. I think that's the other part. I think you just like the original front end look. And so do I. I think they're just the geometry of these FXRs, the original look. It's just so hard to go by, and that's why a lot of people, I feel like, went back to the whole OG scene, like parts and everything. And that's why, like, you know, the louvered side covers for these bikes go for like $500 or $350. When brand new, they were probably about $40. So everyone loves original, especially old stock, old new stock on these bikes. So when I stopped modding, it just felt like a lot of people were just already going back to the OG look, except for, which will never die, is the club style. I mean, this TBar saddle, you know, TBar handlebar setup, whatever you want to call it. You know, if you don't say it comes from the club style, that's where I've always known it from. I really dig it. I mean, I've been very, very happy with it in general. Like, there's different combinations. I mean, literally hundreds and hundreds of different combinations, even though it's the same setup, heights, width this, and everything you can do on these bikes for a TBar handle setup. TBar handle setup, sorry. So that's one thing. Trends come and go, and just kind of stood still on it. So in the future, maybe I'll swap it out, because there is a new handlebar that I am looking at. So that's probably the only thing that maybe will be coming up for this, because I was actually originally going to do a 6-speed on this bike, and that was the other one. I was going to do the 6-speed and then settled on a chain conversion, which I'm so happy I went with, because I wanted Baker. Baker is my favorite. I think it's the best. There's other ones out there, but Baker was the way to go, and it didn't seem right once again to dump, you know, $6 grand into that. So I just couldn't do it. I had to pull away. So essentially that's why I'm done modding my FXR. Just kind of got to the point where I'm doing the other bikes. There's just no need for it. I'll do more in the future as stuff breaks. I really love the way my bike looks right now, rides, and it's reliable, so it's hard to beat. But for now, guys, that about wraps for me on this one. I would greatly appreciate if you could hit the subscribe button, tap that like, press that notification, leave a comment below and tell what you think. And for those who've already subscribed, thank you, and as always, stay free. I'll catch you guys later. Peace!